Just like in church, they're wanting you to come forward.
Like
He's got the money, you think? Wants to be paid for it. All right,
Sorry.
you good? Good evening, good evening. Welcome. Glad you all could make it. Last week, of course, this was in doubt, but I'm glad we're all here. I'm going to call a special meeting to order here. This is for public input on our 2016 beach season parking plan that was implemented, as you know, last May and ran through the middle of September. So we've asked council to come sit and hear from the citizens. In 2 weeks, we will convene again as a council to deliberate on changes we want to make to our ordinance and operating plans as we go forward for the 2017 season. This has been a labor, I won't say a labor of love, to put this together. You can see from the files that I have maintained, I can go back to 2012 without dipping too far into my files, and I could go back further if necessary. Parking on the island has been a problem since I have a document here going back to 1970 out of the Charleston Evening Post talking about peace on the beaches, and talks about us directly and parking and the issues therefore that we've tried to address. This parking plan has been a major step forward, we believe, for the city and for the residents, and hopefully the visitors will eventually learn to abide by the rules and regulations we've put in place. If those regulations and rules need a change, we'd like to hear about that tonight, and then we'll take that into deliberation as we meet with the staff. The staff has been tasked with putting together the data that they can from their activities during the course of the year. I know they have a whole list of changes they would like to recommend to be brought forward when they finally get the chance to do that. But from that point on, tonight we're going to listen to you all. So I'm going to ask everybody to take a turn and please come forward. I'm going to ask Bill Campbell first to step up because he came to me first and wanted to get a point across. We'll make notes. For the record, before you go on, Bill, we are not only recording your message, we are videoing it, so...
How's my hair?
We're not going to go there. So there's plenty of opportunity. We have one... Yes. We have one member of council that's not able to make it tonight, but he has committed to take the time to view the video at a later date, so your message will get through to all of us.
Thank you.
Before you start, I'm going to ask everybody to give your name and address so that Marie can make a note and you're on record. So please, go ahead. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Good evening, City Council. Let me introduce myself. I'm Bill Campbell, and I live at number 34, 42nd Avenue, and I've been an owner for over 30 years. You are requesting feedback on the summer parking program that was implemented this year, and I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to respond. The program, in my opinion, was a great success, so congratulations. It was a simple program, easy to explain, monitor, and comply. It did not involve complicated smartphone applications and other electronic procedures. If you were a resident, you only needed to affix the IOP decal on the back window of your vehicle. Too bad it couldn't be seen because the rear window tints in nearly all vehicles on the road today. But the concept was good. Just test it next time you go to, before you go to press. But the idea was great.
Duly noted.
Because I live on 42nd Avenue, a beach access street, I took it upon myself to monitor resident designated parking by the beach. If I spotted a vehicle without a sticker, I phoned the police, the livability police. I acted on these infringements because I was encouraged by council to report problems. Hey, if we don't have any reporting, then we don't have any problem, right? If I talked to the offender, the response was one of the following. Number one, I've parked here all my life and I will continue to park here. Number two, I'll park here because I have a right to beach access, so get lost. Number three, Signs, I can't believe this. Signs, what signs? I didn't see any signs. We had 400 created and installed. This card is from Wild Dunes. We don't need no stinking details. This card is a rental. I don't know what you are talking about, sir. And that makes sense, right? Because that's the responsibility of the rental company or the owner. And this one, I paraphrase this one. Here, stick this where the sun don't, and you know how to finish the sentence. They were rough. They were rough. Over the term of the summer, I received 2, thank you very much, sir. I just saved them $50. And that was out of maybe 125 conversations with people. By the way, duly noted, in Ion in Mount Pleasant has 2 signs in their community on the entrance of the Ion. And it says, parking in designated areas only. That's all, 2 signs. So I ask you, who on City Council has a relation who owns a sign production company? We're soon going to be known as the Isle of Signs. On occasion, I've had an opportunity to chat with some of the enforcement cadets. Their experience was similar to mine. And they were excellent, by the way. We talked to one young lady who was studying the academy, the police academy or whatever, and they were very, very good. We saw some people picking up garbage and trash. That was wonderful, too. I would encourage the fine to be raised to $100 per ticket, since many of the visitors to the island are comfortable with paying that kind of money on a daily basis for parking in their major metropolitan areas. You know, I said, it's a $50 fine. They looked at me like, big deal. So that's that. It was a great success. Loved it. It was just really great. In regard to 41st Street, you know, the parking and whatnot's going on there, I feel there should be a no parking zone. The street is a major access for our fire department and other emergency vehicles. The vehicles are large and cumbersome. They need lots of clearance. They should not be hindered in any way. Parking is an obstruction. There's no shoulders on 41st Street. It's impossible to pull over and allow more access. The speed limit should be enforced. No warnings on 41st Street, just do it. In closing, if anyone thinks it's great living on a beach access road, let's rotate the opportunity. Let other residents enjoy the golf cart parade to and from the beach. Every cart has a pull-behind wagon and lots of screaming teenager kids. And a large percentage of drivers are under 16 years of age and aren't carrying a driver's license. Need I go on? And here's an FYI for you. We're going to have a horrible accident at the corner of 42nd and Wildwood. Golf carts do not obey the stop sign. Residents of Wildwood clip along Wildwood Avenue. Large live oak trees are on one corner, that's my corner, and a huge sea oats plant is on the other, that's Nancy McGinley. Vision is obscured, and it's a problem. I mean, we sit out on our porch and watch this and just shudder what's going on. So, you've been warned. Thank you for the opportunity to share my concerns. I thank you very much.
Thank you. If those notes are legible, you might want to leave them with Marie so she can help translate them. Thank you. Please, step forward.
Hey, my name is Hallie Neal. I live at 1741st Avenue. My big request would be that all residents receive 4 to 5 multiple-use placards to give to their guests. I just find it very frustrating that I had to pay for parking on the island for my guests when all the day trippers can come on and get parking for free. It'd be really nice if friends and family could come over to my house without me having to pass out a parking tag every time, to have a few or 5 hanging placards that I could reuse, like the vacation renters get to have.
Thank you.
Randy Bell, 22 41st Avenue, and I just want to comment, I didn't have any of these problems that Bill had. People were nice to me, they thanked me for the $50, Bill, so you might want to reconsider the approach. And the other thing, I want to thank all the neighbors. I've never seen this many people together without a cocktail. So with that, I think you all know the issues I've had with 41st. I just want to add to the comments. Number one, totally concur with Bill. The beach access for residents was awesome this year. No hassles, we could park golf carts, People were, frankly, generally nice to me when I warned them about the $50, and if they weren't, I just let them be and let the appropriate authorities give them $50 tickets. My big issue remains 41st in general. It's a residential street, so I would respectfully ask that council treat it as residential in all aspects. That's speed, that's parking, and all other enforcement. And as I understand the original parking plan, it was to be posted and designated residential. And to Bill's point, there is no room to park. You should see the particularly high tides going on right now and the issues along 41st Avenue. So if you would consider placing it amongst all other residential streets in all other areas, it would be duly, duly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Christine Zamboni. I live at 3 Loudon Boulevard. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My family and I have been proud IOP residents for 4 years. I want to thank you for your service to the city. I work in a leadership position for Charleston County School District, so I understand the angles that need to be discussed and addressed when implementing a new plan. I applaud the council for creating an open forum such as tonight. As a member of the Isle of Palms community, I have 2 suggestions. For residents with not much parking, such as ours, what is the reasoning to have residents pay $15 per booklet? Is there an option for 1 booklet per year and availability to purchase after that? Please consider this option, or a reusable option. The next suggestion is if residents have leftover parking passes, can we use those for the following year or sell them back to the city? I want to find a way to make these parking procedures as resident-friendly as possible, which includes not charging residents that have friends and family park in their driveway and yard. Please consider these options moving forward. And again, thank you for your service to the city.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Whoa. Oh, boy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll pass them on if you...
Yeah, if you want to go to the
just go
microphone.
speak.
Yeah. Thank you, Carly.
Good evening. My name is Carly David, and my husband is Steve David, and we live at 709 Palm Boulevard. However, we have a beach house on the corner of Ocean and 9th. And for a long time, there has been question as to who has jurisdiction over that, whether it's the DOT or whether it's IOP. I have gotten to know Captain Usry very well this summer because we've had many chats about it. In fact, she's a friend now, and so that part is kind of nice. But anyway, she told me recently that DOT has given IOP the okay to do whatever they need to do with it because it is kind of a mess. 9th and Ocean is where the main surf road is. It's there's parking in front, and then there's parking parallel on the west side, I believe, and then on my side, where my house is, they pull in vertically. And that has become a major issue and a major problem. The space beside our house is sand, of course, and people pull in, and what happens is it's extremely dangerous when they pull in and then when they back out, or when they back in and they pull out. There's a huge hump on the road itself, so they have to gun it to get there, and when they gun it, occasionally they go over and actually bump the other cars. I've seen 3 cars hit from my side where they're parallel parking on the other side. The worst thing, though, is one day, and I've got it logged in here, I was at the house. I'm over there on Saturdays always because of the people. But a little girl was coming out, and then there was a truck, and she was between the truck and another car. And she walked down into the road, and the guy that was coming down bumped her, did not hurt her, but it's only by the grace of God that she did not get really, really hurt. So, as I said, several cars have pulled out. Huge trucks and SUVs that park there are frequently in our yard. I have a picture that shows you. The front of the truck is so close to the bathroom window downstairs they can look in. And it's very disconcerting if you turn around and, oh, hello. And at the same time, the rear end of the truck is in the road. Now, the wheels technically are not in the road, but the whole rear end, including the hitch, is out there in the road, and I have pictures of that as well so that you can see. I just kept going over there to find cars that were parked to give you an idea of what is happening. And that bump for them to get out, again, they have to gun it to get up over the top of it. The sand is terrible, as you might expect. In June, the tow truck was there probably every other day, pulling cars out. Finally, one day, they pulled a car out and its whole bumper came off, and they went to the police about it. So after that, somebody came from the police department, sent somebody with a couple truckloads of sand, and that helped it for a while. But I have a couple pictures that I took last weekend that you'll see what's happened to that area again. So it helped it for a month with all the sand that you brought in. So that was good. But basically, the holes in the yard, and you can see, if you look at picture number 1, you can see the truck that's in the front, the whole front of his truck. True, his wheels are off, but the whole front is still in. Picture number 2, the guy with the cooler. I saw this 4x4 truck back out and almost caught him. He didn't, but he ran out of the road. On picture number 3, this is the one you can sort of see how close it is to our house when they back in. Their wheels, part of the wheels are in our yard anyway. It just happens to be the way it is. So it's partly our yard and partly DOT's. 4, you can see what happened last weekend with this truck. He dug in, and they go to construction sites and get plywood or 4x4s or whatever they have to dig themselves out, and then they leave the 4x4s and the plywood in our yard. Now, I know it's not really our yard, but it is kind of our yard because we have to look at it all the time. So my husband has been over there every weekend to clean up the mess that's been made. The little V&W, you can see that. The tow truck guy's bending over trying to get his wheels out of the sand. And here's another thing that's concerning. The whole road's falling apart. And you can see, I just took one picture of it so you could see what's happening to it. It's all crumbling because as they're gunning it, they're going over and breaking it off. And then the last 2 are just pictures of the side of the house with the holes that have been put there. And the picture number 8, again, was last weekend from the trucks that were there. Now, again, I agree with all these people. The parking has been, I'm sure, much easier now that they know what rules are. I am just asking that the ordinance be switched, that possibly they can't park there at all, or they park parallel like they do across the street. I don't believe on any of the other streets there is vertical one way and parallel the other. They're all parallel or there's no parking. And so if you would look at that, because, and as I said, I've been to the police department several times because I've been really rather concerned that somebody's going to be hurt at my house, and I really don't want that, and I'm sure you don't either. But anyway, I thank you very much, and I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. My name is Arnold Herring. I live at 5102 Palm Boulevard, and I have been an Island resident since 1970. And I want to congratulate everyone on council. I sat through many, many of those parking plan sessions, and I think we have come up with a winner. And I would urge council to strongly consider adopting this as a year-around plan rather than just in the summer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sir.
Mayor and council, I'm Don Thompson. I live at 2319 Captain John Hutton Road on Goat Island. I'm not a taxpayer on the Isle of Palms, I'm not a property owner, but I am the president of the Goat Island Association of Neighbors, and I'm here to ask for your consideration. Someone just not too long ago stated that the Isle of Palms had embraced Goat Island as family. And although we're not voters, we do feel like members of the community. You know, we share the same roads, the same bridges, the same weather, the same restaurants, the same grocery store, the same post office, the same drugstores, all the same businesses, and we share some of the same problems with finding places to park. And the Isle of Palms has really embraced us and offered many services that we don't pay taxes for. If we can find a way to repay you, we will be glad to. But the fire department particularly has kept an eye on us for a long time and been very helpful. As you go forward and make changes to the parking plan, I am going to ask that you would give us consideration. I never thought I would be here over 35 years ago when I first moved to Goat Island, troubled about parking, but the growth in this area has affected us all. So thank you for letting me speak to you.
Hello, everyone. Elizabeth Campson, 32 Intercoastal Court. And I think the 2016 parking plan was a great first step towards managing all the seasonal challenges that we all go through every season. And I'm here, I'm sure you all know, asking for protection for both Waterway and 41st in their entirety. Those are streets within residentially zoned neighborhoods, and I feel like they should be protected as such. The findings, the purpose in the ordinance say that the city had determined after a traffic study, and I think this is accurate, that our areas are severely impacted by non-resident parking, and they are. So that finding is accurate as to Waterway and 41st. And the purpose for restricting non-resident parking, we meet every criteria there. So as you read the ordinance, I think it's pretty clear that those areas should be protected, and ask that you do that. I also ask that to the extent that perhaps going forward, if the signage plan is amended in a way that either adds or removes or changes the location of signs, that maybe that could be a part of the amendment so that the public can see where those signs would be prior to the ordinance being enacted, and then finding out later that there's another season that you may have to wait for a change to be made, if possible, since they are linked together, the signage plan and the ordinance. I'd also like to say that I think that considering maybe expanding it to a year-round plan would be a good one, and maybe we mitigate the ramifications to the residents who have family and friends coming that do now pay for parking. Maybe we get a free booklet a year, or we get a couple of free placards and that maybe can be a way to kind of mitigate that and still protect the residential nature of the neighborhoods, because the findings and the purpose, all the purposes within the ordinance aren't seasonal purposes. We always want to protect the residential nature of the island, and we always want to do things that keep us safe and allow residents access to their residences and keep things in a clean and safe condition and preserve our value, the value of our properties and the safety of our children and pedestrians. And that's a year-round, 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week purpose here. I also would just like to say, as to the growth that we're experiencing and the plan that came out when it did to protect the residential nature of the island, or start to protect it. I know that Wild Dunes is considering another addition to their hotel there, and that pursuant to their planned development, they're allowed 350 inn rooms. In 1970, when they were contemplating this and negotiating with the city, the island had 871 homes on it, residential units. Today, we have over 4,000, so we've grown 5 times the amount of units that people can be in at a time, but our population has only grown 1.5 times. So it's a lot more people coming in seasonally, as we all know, to these new rooms and everything, but just not as many residents. And so the impact is greater during that time. And I'm wondering, as we're also looking at the beach management plan, if perhaps we should look at areas of Palm and maybe start restricting parking to day trippers and not allow that, make that residential Palm. Because if we're going to add another 150 cars heading into Wild Dunes or more, which is perfectly allowed and I think is great. It's a great opportunity for Wild Dunes to get more business, and it helps our bottom line as a city. But I think in some way, just to maintain the status quo, we have to mitigate that some way outside the gate. And I think that perhaps reining in the parking a little bit on Palm might help that, because the only way to Wild Dunes is down Palm. And if you're parking people there as well and they're traveling, it gets pretty congested. And I mean, maybe to the extent that we can hone in the day tripper parking into more commercial areas at the front beach, I think the tenants there would like it. I mean, the facility's there for them to use, and it's more convenient for the day tripper to have the restroom and the shower, and the people like to eat, and the businesses like that there. So to the extent that's possible, we might want to look at that now, as these things all seem to be interrelated. And it isn't, I just want to say, bringing up Wild Dunes sometimes gets people sensitive. But it isn't a, it isn't a Wild Dunes and inside the gate, outside the gate, renter, resident, non-resident, day tripper. It's none of these. It's just an island-wide issue, and it doesn't matter if you have lived here for your whole life like my husband, or 10 years like me, or 4 years, or if you're just here for the day or for a week renting. Everybody should be able to safely come and go, and to the extent that we can have that happen by maybe restricting some of that parking on Palm, I think that would be great. The current beach management parking plan, we offer 8 times more access points and 7.5 times more parking than we're required to do, and perhaps we can ratchet that down just a smidge and see how that helps going forward. So, thank you.
Anyone else, please?
Mayor, Council, my name is Bambi Werner, 32 31st Avenue. I just want to just throw it out here. I'm against having this parking year-round. Lots of people like to entertain, for instance, have oyster roast, things like that, and not wait until 6 o'clock in the evening to do it. I'd like to be able to have my guests park without me having to pay for them. Just let them park like we've done in the past. I understand the reasoning to do it during the summer, but I see no reason to do it in the winter.
Thank you.
My name is Vince Gangi. I live at 442nd Avenue with my wife, Christine Owens. And I want to say and compliment you all on what a wonderful job you did with implementing the parking plan. I don't mean it to sound like an infomercial, but it has changed my life. I can actually sit on a deck and look out at the ocean and not be bothered with cars circling, looking for parking spaces and trash. And I don't need to bore you with all the other details that we've had to deal with. But I would like to say that I would like to support a year-round parking plan. We've had a recent 2 break-ins in our neighborhood, and I think it comes from folks that are here that we don't recognize. We know most of the people that park in that area, but when we do see cars and trucks that don't belong there, it kind of gives you that questionable feeling. But I wanted to say thank you to everyone for the great job that you've done.
Thank you. Thank you. How many toes you step on?
6. Ralph Grobian, 551st, been here since 79. Great job, tough. I know it's tough, but it's been a great job. We have our street back, which is good. The people that I've talked to that move their car. I've been courteous. I've not had any problem with it. And I would consider doing it year-round because there's no reason not to. And so I want to thank you for what you've done.
Thank you. Sir.
Good evening. My name is Rusty Williamson. I live with my wife at 605 Caroline Boulevard. And my main concern and complaint is why 2 stickers? We have the hurricane reentry sticker that could work as the parking sticker. Don't get the parking sticker wet with Windex because it'll dissolve the ink. So, I mean, why 2 stickers? I mean, you can barely see the one for parking. You have to go up to the back window with a flashlight. The other one's big and white. You're seeing 100 yards away. That's it.
Very good.
Good evening. My name is Rusty Streetman, and I'm honored to forward, come behind Rusty Williamson, who posts all those great photos on Facebook in Isle of Palms neighborhood. So, anyway, I live at 4004 Palm Boulevard, along with my wife Deborah, and we've been residents of Isle of Palms for 34 years, and we've been in the location we're in now for 21 years. I want to commend the council for all you're doing to try to, accommodate the parking for our day visitors, for everyone that comes to the island. And I think for the first year, I think we've done a pretty good job of trying to manage that, but I think there are certain things we need to look at as well. Some of them were brought up before. I mean, the area around 41st, that area right there is so congested, and people are coming off of that, coming out, the 703 terminus. They're coming from the marina and coming from Wild Dunes, and it's amazing how fast they accelerate around that corner. Now, the reason I'm saying this, and I'm not being NIMBY about it at all, is I live at 4004, so I'm 3 houses back on the beach side, but it's amazing how tough it is for me to walk my coonhound across the street, particularly during the summer months, because they're accelerating around that corner, and also because of the way the parking is situated in that area there, and the way the lanes widen, you go from 1 lane to 2 lanes. The left lane going towards the marina, the right lane towards Wild Dunes, and people start accelerating early. I was fortunate enough a few weeks ago, Deb, my wife and myself, to have Councilman Carroll and Councilman Ward came by the house to just kind of observe firsthand what was going on at our corner down there, and you would be amazed at how fast people are accelerating around the corner from the marina and Wild Dunes, and really, putting a lot of people at risk, not just myself, but a lot of other people, but also how fast and how much they accelerate coming down Palm Boulevard towards that corner. You'd think they'd be decelerating a lot more, but they're not. Now, to our police department's credit, they are out there quite a bit. I think they do a fantastic job. I think that what they've been doing this year to ticket the individuals that are parking over the 4-foot line, that sort of thing, and then also sitting out there on the sides of the road to try to patrol some of the traffic that's coming around the corners. I think that's great, but I think we still have to, as residents of Isle of Palms, be very cognizant that we have some very reckless drivers out there. I don't think it's our residents. I don't think it's the Isle of Palms people, but the people that are visiting here, the people that are vacationers, they don't understand the dynamic we've had here. I mean, when I travel up and down Palm, I turn left out of my driveway when I can get out of my driveway, which is tough sometimes, but you have to travel. My speed limit basically is about 20 miles an hour, quite honestly. I don't observe our speed limit. I'm driving too slow for many people. They're running right up behind me, And that's something I think that we as residents, we have to do that to try to calm things down in the summer months. Not so bad this time of the year, but in the summer months when it really gets crazy out here, we have to do our best to make sure that we're setting great examples. I am terribly afraid that one of these days, and I've mentioned this often to my family and to friends, we are going to have, unfortunately, some sort of tragedy with a child out here on Palm Boulevard and some parts of this Highway 703. Highway 703 is a state highway, and it's a parking lot on both sides. How many highways in the state can say that? We're probably the only one. And unfortunately, a lot of people do not observe that 35 mile per hour speed limit, and they're always doing this with the text. We see it every day, everywhere we go. And I would just say that we just need to continue our public service vigilance, our police department doing a great job, fire department doing a great job, but we need to really take a close look at some of these pinch points that we have, 41st, 40th, right on up Palm, and see if there's other things that we can do. Now, I'm going to be a little bit greedy here. I'm going to be just a little bit, self-serving, I guess. Because of where I live, and I have tons of video and photos and things like that my wife Deborah has taken in the past, and I could provide that to the council, but it really is tough to pull out of our driveway and turn left to go up Palm. Because if you've got the way the chalk line is, there's public parking 4 feet all the way down to the end. Even in my neighbor's yard. I think she'll speak next. But, if someone pulls up there in a big SUV or a pickup truck or something like that, you cannot see to pull left out of your driveway. We basically, at times, my wife and I have had to get out in direct traffic, basically, to make sure that we're able to get out, to turn left. And it's almost as bad turning right, because then you've still got to inch out there, and if you got to turn right to go towards the marina, you're putting your life in your hands. And the way our driveway is sort of designed, and the way those 2 lanes open up right there, it's tough to do. It really is. And I think that's an area there that we may want to look at it, say, okay, from 41st to maybe 40th, that we really look at how the parking is designed. And I know it's been mentioned before about that pinch point there too. And I think we probably should also consider some sort of crosswalk at 40th also. I think we have one at 37th, 38th. It's the last one we have. There's also a lot of pedestrian traffic now, come in that area there. And last but not least, but I think this young lady mentioned it earlier, all the building that's going on at Wild Dunes is great. It's good, but it's just going to bring more and more and more traffic for us. And it's going to bring more revenue, but we've got to be cognizant that we've got to do a better job of managing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rusty.
So I'm Rusty's neighbor at 4006, and I sit right next door to him, but I sit
Can you give Marie your name?
Theresa Mies, and I'm a new resident, 2 years. Came back here after I retired from the Air Force. So I came back, I lived here 17 years ago. First here, my mom and I were moving in, and I pulled out of my driveway, I looked left towards downtown, looked right towards Marina, looked left again, we were in the middle of Palm. Someone whipped around from the Marina. That yellow flashing light doesn't mean anything to people. And they almost took off the right side of my car, almost killed my mother. And that car had to go up onto the road, the grass where everybody parks, to avoid hitting her. The point is, as Rusty was saying, coming around, they're very fast. That yellow flashing light doesn't mean anything to anybody. They don't slow down, and it is a blind turn. You can't see. And across the street, not beachside, but across the street, everybody's parking vertically. And they park all the way to the very possible end. So you have families and little kids walking right to that corner as people are whipping around. It is a blind curve, and I have watched with my heart in my throat so some kid doesn't get killed. And these parents are not watching their 3-year-olds behind them. They're trucking up ahead, and they got 5 and 6-year-olds behind them, dragging a boogie board, dragging something else, and they're on the street right by that blind curve. So I don't know who pays for a lawsuit, but I imagine our city might have to take some of the blame if we don't reassess that parking between 40 and 41st because of the blind turn, because the road widens to three lanes. In order for me to get in my driveway when I come home from work, I put my blinker on way back at 38th, and everybody gets pissed off at me because I'm slowing down. And they go, why is she putting her blinker on? She's going to turn at the stop sign to go to Wild Dunes. No, I'm not turning. I'm trying to turn into my driveway. People are right on my tail, and as soon as they realize I'm pulling into my driveway because the lane splits, they go, oh yeah. They slam on their brakes and they go around me. That's what Rusty was talking about. They accelerate. So, you know, somebody gets hurt or killed, that 40 to 41st is a very dangerous place, both sides, beach and the other side.
Thank you.
I'm emotional because I've seen some things that really scare me.
Well, I'm glad you came.
Okay.
Thank you.
On a quick note, I'm Stacy Streetman Johnson. That's my dad and their neighbor. And I have to say, I live on 2nd Avenue from the business district at Breach Inlet. The parking was awesome this year. And I've not really had a problem where I live. However, it seems like, you know, the more crowded that the area becomes, it's approaching everyone. So that's worked really very well from the business district to Breach Inlet, in my opinion. Where Mom and Dad live is definitely, with the amount of traffic, it's very, it's a 3-lane highway. When I visit my mother and father, I literally get into their circular driveway. I'd never back out onto Palm Boulevard because there's just so much traffic coming every 3 lanes, fast. But like I said, on the positive end, with parking, our police officers are super courteous. You know, when we had people visiting, I live on 2nd Avenue from Business District to Breach. It's been really, really good. So,
thank you.
Yeah.
Very good. Sir.
George Page, 5 Forest Trail, Court 1. Couple points. They're talking about 41st Street. It is very congested. It does need to be designated without parking. 42nd Street, around the curve where they're talking about, where they're accelerating, that's the access I go to. Number one, first time in 6 years I've never had to worry about a parking spot. It's great. But trying to get across Palm Boulevard during the summertime is just dangerous. And on a bike or in a golf cart or walking. It needs to have a walk sign there so that people will come to a stop and they see people in that. Because so many people use that 42nd access. Question. With how much money was spent to implement this program? Including the signs, the labor for the signs, any vehicles bought, the wages for the people who pay. Is it covering itself?
Yes. Good.
So taxpayers aren't supplementing?
Correct.
Very good. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right.
Hello, I'm Gail Jordan.
You can fold it down so you don't. There you go.
Hi, I'm Gail Jordan, and I live at 3704 Palm Boulevard. And I guess I'm going to be the contrarian because I was appalled and have had so many other people, visitors, who have come here and have said, what is going on with over 400 signs in a residential community, up and down Palm Boulevard, back into the neighborhoods. I have been in touch with Councilman Carroll, who has given me a lot of information. And it seems that this parking situation really sort of evolved because of beach nourishment in order to get funds to renourish our beaches. Is that correct? Is that how we got it to the point where we're at? It had nothing to do with beach renourishment. It had nothing to do with getting funds. I mean, why?
There's a beach management plan, but that's independent of our parking plan.
But I thought that the Beach Management Act had stated that we had to provide so much parking to be able to. Did they say parking or did they say access? And the reason I bring this up is because you don't have this problem at North Myrtle Beach or Myrtle Beach. They're not able to park along their main boulevard. So I don't understand if it has to do with access to the beach. We have access for all the people living in the back neighborhoods.
It has to be parking.
specifically states parking.
Within
Can that not...
within a certain distance of the access.
Can that not be amended because we are changing? Now we have 150 more cars that are going to be coming because of Wild Dunes, the new hotel. What happens when people are coming onto Palm Boulevard? All the places are filled, but cars are continuing to come. They have to turn around somewhere. There's total congestion. I can't get in and out of my driveway. And I don't understand why there isn't some way to amend this, because pretty soon it's going to be where all of the back neighborhoods are going to have to be putting up with more cars parking. You're just going to have more and more people come into the island. So I just wanted to see if there's a proactive approach that we can take to try and do something about this before it totally gets out of control. And the only other thing that I'm going to add is the day trippers have left, but the coyotes have returned because Saturday night at 10:30 at 3704 Palm, there was a coyote about 25 feet from me, and I called and I did report it. But I just want everybody to be aware they're back. Thank you.
They've never left. Sir.
My name is Dennis Schaffer, 3907 Hartnett Boulevard. Been living out here since '91 when I got out of the Marines. As an owner, my biggest problem is guest parking. We need to have permanent parking stickers for our guests that we can give to them, slips or unlimited paper slips as owners. We never know when we're going to have a get-together or cookout or anything like that, and it has been a hassle this year having friends over, having them move my car out of the driveway. They park in the driveway, I park in the yard. We just have to have something done that helps out the owners to have guests over. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, please?
Good evening. I'm John Regan Walters. I've spoken to y'all many times before, but I figure I'll speak one more time because no dead horse doesn't need another beating. So, parking plan is, I guess, great for some people, but if you live where I live, it hadn't done anything for me. I mean, it's made things worse, if anything. For those who have, I know some people, it's really been great. They don't have the people circling the block anymore, and all the traffic. If you get nostalgic from that, come sit on my front porch. We'll have a beer, and you can see it all day long. It's gridlock on Palm Boulevard. It's a safety hazard. You've got people parked up and down the road, families trying to cross, and you've got 4 feet on either side of the road. So if an emergency vehicle came, where are you going to go to let them go by? I mean, that 4 feet's not a lot. And personally, I think there should be no parking on Palm Boulevard. And we should open up the city lot and make that free parking so they have a place to park. I mean, they've got the right to beach access, right. I agree with that. But not unregulated parking. They can't, we can tell them where they need to park as long as we meet the beachfront management's minimum requirement. So, we need to look real closely at just banning it on Palm Boulevard altogether if it's feasible. If not, then at least we need to look at putting up signs that say owner-occupied residence, owner and guest only. And that would alleviate some of the problems that people were having in other areas where they can't get out of their driveway because they can't see.
Thank you.
Because if it's in front of someone's house, then if it's the only people parking there is you and your guest, then you can make those cars move. As for if someone, one gentleman said that people told him that that they had the right to beach access, and they do. But like I said, once again, unregulated parking, no. We need to control that. Also, the security issues they talked about. Someone mentioned earlier that they had things stolen in their neighborhood. People do come down. They'll park. They'll act like they're in their trunk. They'll be looking around at houses, casing things. I lost a neighbor to it last year. He got tired of it all. He moved. It was a year ago, August. They sold the place. They moved, and now we've got another rental house. So that's I'm surrounded by it now. I mean, we're slowly but surely losing our Palm Boulevard residents, and if that's the goal of the city, then you're doing a good job of it. But if that's not the goal, and if we want to keep Palm Boulevard residential like it's always been until recently, then we need to change the way we're doing things. But I mean, someone who comes down and parks at 30 on, in the area of 30th Avenue, he's not spending any money at the Windjammer. He's not going in any of our businesses down there. He's not going to eat at Luke and Ollie's. He's not going to our businesses. So we need to look at making that the city lot for free. I mean, it's been paid off. I mean, because we purchased that, whatever, 30 years ago now? It was back, mid to early 80s?
Yes.
So, so I don't think that, paying off the lot's an issue anymore. And it's just, and as far as the issues that people have brought up regarding the stickers and the parking passes and all in the neighborhoods, I don't know a single person that lives beyond the Hartnett on the side streets that has ever had any issues with people parking like at 25th or something and walking to the beach. I mean, that just doesn't happen. These lots were made postage stamp for a reason. They were made postage stamp, but the right-of-ways were there the way they are for a reason. That's always been the parking for these postage stamp lots. And that's why when you start taking this and controlling that and letting visitors use it, you're taking away from the residents, and it's making it difficulty for residents. So no resident should have to pay to park in front of his house. I mean, that's just ludicrous to me. No matter, I mean, there shouldn't be booklets that you have to buy. I mean, if you want to give them booklets, that's fine, but to charge a residents, aren't they already paying enough in taxes? I mean, we're going the wrong direction. We're going from being a residential neighborhood to a business neighborhood. I mean, we want to keep our neighborhoods residential, not business areas. And we just need to really look at this thing seriously as to how we want to do it. But always keep in mind, would I consider this a residential area? And also, the areas down, from 4th through 10th or whatever, the side streets. I don't think there should be parking on those side streets either. If we're going to have parking there, let's do it like we do at Palm and put it as close to the beach as possible on Ocean. Ocean is just like Palm. It's got a lot of rental houses. Put it parking in front of the rental houses. I mean, but be parked at the side streets, or most of them aren't rental houses. So let's take it off the side streets. And that's all I've got for you.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Anyone else before we close?
Sure. I've got to say a word here, too. I'm the person who is the picture taker. So I've been named here. My name's Deb Streetman, and I obviously live at 4004 with my husband, Rusty, and next door to Terry. And I would like to extend an invitation to all of you to come down to my house and stand in my driveway one day. A couple of our council people did that, and they were shocked when they see it for themselves. I can't stand here and tell you what it's like, because none of you buy it, because I've talked to you before. It's like, oh, parking's always been on Palm Boulevard, so that's where we do. Palm Boulevard is a it's a speedway. People come down in front of my house, we have to cross 3 lanes of traffic because it expands. Because it does that, it veers in toward my driveway. My driveway sits about 10 feet off the road. So when I pull up to the end of my driveway and people park 4 feet over and it layers on out, I still can't see. Not only that, they can't see me. So when I pull forward, it's like inching forward. If somebody is around, we stop the traffic before we can get out. I have called our cops out to stop the traffic so I can get out. But here's the other side of it nobody thinks about. Bicycles. They come down Palm Boulevard all the time. I can't tell you how many times I've almost killed a cyclist because I can't see them. They pop out of the cars behind me. I have no vision when I want to take a left-hand turn. I can't see them because the cars have me blocked. They're parked here, they're parked this way up the road. So the bicycle's like, bam, like that. So one turned around and flipped me the finger the other day. I begged him to stop. I begged him to stop, and I apologized. I said, I cannot see you. Please call somebody and tell them. Did you see me? He says, no. They can't see me either. It's very, very dangerous between 40th and 41st Avenue. It's dangerous all the way down the street. I had a friend in the car with me the other day, and we had to come to a complete stop somewhere in the 30s. I don't remember where. There was a lady getting in her car. She's parked totally legally. She had 5 children with her. She had one little boy by the hand. She's got the car door open. That kid has got his foot over the white line like that. So I have to come to a complete stop while these people put their children in the chairs in the car, and I blew the horn at them. Meanwhile, the guy behind me blows the horn at me, right? So this is just a dangerous situation on Palm Boulevard, and y'all don't see it, I don't think, because none of you live there. So I'd like to invite, my invitation would be to one of the TV stations to come and sit with a camera down there and just photograph this, and let's run it on television and see all the people getting out of their cars with little children standing right there on the white line and people driving 40 and 45 miles an hour past them. It's just a matter of time. It's absolutely a miracle that nobody's been hurt. And I did call the state out here, and they agreed with me, but they also said it's up to you guys about the parking. So I don't want to see the first person killed over there. When we were cleaning up after the storm, I don't even like to go on the front side of my house and stand around the street because I can't stand looking that way. I worked in the children's hospital, and I see these little kids standing around. I put a video on the Isle of Palms Facebook page, and it's shocking how many people replied to that. And that's constant. That's not a rare thing. That happens every day, all day during the parking season. So I told the guy from the state, says, well, it's up to the Isle of Palms and nobody's been killed here yet. And I said, well, that's great. I hope the first person that gets killed is not somebody you love. And that's what we all need to think about here. These are children and families, and you think they would know the right thing, but they don't. They park and they're leaning in their cars, and the little kids are standing there on the street. So we have Palm Boulevard because that's where all the parking's always been, that's where it always will be. We're not in a neighborhood. I have that pointed out. Everybody here is in a neighborhood but us. We're not in a neighborhood. So that's where the parking is. But Palm Boulevard is way busier now that the parking plan has come in place. Way more people are parking. I see people pull in. They can't back out because there's so much traffic. So what do? They pull forward, they drive up the sidewalk and back out sides. So, you know, there's just, I mean, you really need to have somebody observe what's going on Palm Boulevard and how dangerous it is before somebody does get hurt. But I'm just standing here to say that we have told you, we live here, there's all of us, we have spoken, and we're standing here we are telling you. I am posting pictures on the Facebook page of little children standing there. I've had to stop for little kids in the street, but not even just little kids, adults walking up the street with a drink in their hand, yes, a drink in their hand, and they're just strolling in the middle of Palm Boulevard. Because why not? We're at the beach. They don't see that as a dangerous road. They see it as a parking area, like any other parking area. And the other gentleman said, why don't we open up our parking lot? Because a lot of them park there just because they don't want to pay to park. That's the only reason. So we're going to put money, I mean, you know, let's open the parking lot up, give them access to the place where they will spend $1, because a lot of these people are not from here. About half of these tags are out-of-state tags, about half of them. But anyway, I will be posting more pictures. I will be sending it to you guys. I'm going to be sending you more video. I'm also buying a camera for my car, so y'all can see that what it's like to drive down Palm Boulevard every day and how you have to dodge people constantly. I don't want us to have a death here, but I'm also concerned about where our city is and how our city looks. I mean, I've lived here since 1984, and Palm Boulevard is no longer. It's changing. I mean, we're becoming Myrtle Beach. I've started calling this Myrtle Beach South. That's what we are. We've lost that feel to me. I used to feel like I was part of a neighborhood, but I don't really get that feeling anymore. You know, it's just like how many people we can park out here, and it's just changed. But my biggest concern, I guess, right now is is just the safety of the parking on Palm Boulevard. And you guys, please, I'm inviting you to come to my house. I invite all of you to come to my house and pull in my driveway during the parking season and just sit there for a minute. Let me know you're coming. I'll have you a glass of tea or a glass of wine or whatever, or a chocolate cupcake. Yes, during the storm, I stayed and I made chocolate cupcakes. And God left the electricity on, so they all got baked and iced. We didn't lose our electricity or anything. It was a beautiful thing. But we live in a great place. We really do. And our beach was beautiful in front of our house. We got 0 damage. And let's fix it. You know, we are a community still, I think. But I think it's easy for people that don't live on Palm Boulevard not to see what's going on Palm Boulevard. And really, y'all need to do it. That's the reason I said I'm issuing an invitation to all of you to come to my house.
All right, thank you.
Jim Owens, 2805 Palm. A couple of things. Number one, double parking on Palm Boulevard. We need to stop it. Number two, I don't see a need for Recreation Department on Thursday or Friday morning to put the white line down when we have sufficient signage that says you must park 4 feet off of the pavement. It's a waste of manpower, lady power, and lime. Chief, I would like to compliment your staff. There is one question I would like to ask. The beach patrol, are they sworn law officers? No. Okay, that's people like, Jimmy, you might have to help me. Can't think of the gentleman's name. Butch Skinner. Is he a law enforcement officer? So he cannot write a parking ticket. Okay.
Write parking tickets.
He can? Can he write a parking ticket?
Sure.
Mr. Skinner.
Beach service officers can write parking.
Okay, I did not know that. You know, I thought it was animal control. Can animal control do it?
No. Animal control does not write parking tickets.
Okay, well, he's animal control.
Yeah, Butch is animal control.
Okay, so animal control cannot write tickets. The people who ride the four-wheelers, they are law enforcement officers.
They are beach services officers.
They're not sworn officers.
They're not sworn officers, okay, but they do have the power to write tickets.
Correct.
That's good. If people would like to write this number down, 743-7200, 743-7200, that bypasses the Isle of Palms Police Department. That goes directly to dispatch. And they will send Isle of Palms Beach Patrol or officer to a site. I got it on speed dial, and I'm sure that I have generated well over $1,000 this past summer. So, but double parking, get rid of the white line, there's sufficient signage, and Chief, thank you for your staff.
Thank you, Jim.
I have to add one more thing, and I have to commend the Beach Patrol Police. One gentleman with his 3 little children in a van parked vertical on the ocean side. They're supposed to park parallel right next to between my mailbox and my neighbor's mailbox, and I went over and told him he was parked illegally, and he threatened me. And he said if I didn't get out of his area, which was by the van, he was going to do something. He was screaming at me. His wife had to calm him down. So I called the police, and I believe it was Ann, maybe? Ann? Beach Patrol lady? Kind of my age? Old? Anyway, she came and she said, you know, when he comes back and he sees a ticket on his van, and he comes to your door and is threatening, please call the police. So it's pretty bad down there when we have, and he was out of state when he threatened me in front of his kids and wife. So I just thought you ought to know that too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. My name is Carol Jaworski. I live at 3 Dolphin Row, and my property's front yard or backyard, depending on how you want to define it, is looking straight down 50th Avenue on Palm Boulevard. I guess all the concerns about speed and everything, maybe this is something not possible because it's a state highway, but can we install stop signs or speed bumps along Palm Boulevard, either a portion that's very, very busy or the entire length of it. I don't know if that's possible, but that's something I'd like to see. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
How you doing? Kevin Mahoney, 30 41st Avenue. I'd like to echo some thoughts tonight about 41st Avenue and the parking and the reckless driving at 40th, 41st, 42nd. I live on the back end of the street toward the marina, so we get impacted with marina overflow parking in addition to the speedway that occurs. Some people feel like they got to save 5 seconds to go from the stop sign to the marina, and it becomes an extremely reckless environment. There's been many a day we've been sitting out there. We see kids crossing from Forest Trail into the Wildwood neighborhood, and it's just a matter of time before a kid gets hit. And we've seen it. We've seen screeching halts. And it's just, we've communicated that obviously to some council members before, between myself and Randy and others, and I just wanted to voice my concern over that.
Thank you very much. All right. Nobody else? Going? Gone. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate all the input. We will work on this, and staff has got your input, their own feedback, and we'll meet on this in 2 weeks. Thank you. Thank you.